So track 5, we changed. This one was very sample, vocal, and 808 driven. So those were kind of the focus with the mix and everything, especially in the first quarter, where it's basically just the sample and the vocals. So I really wanted those to sort of pop. And yeah, let's get into what we did. So obviously the sample is being played throughout basically the whole song. We didn't do much to it. The main thing that's going on is this Abbey Road tape, just to make it a little bit more softer and give it that sort of like analog saturation. It was pretty important to get the balance of the sample with the piano, because the piano is a bit more like uplifting, and it really goes along well with the sample. So we've got the sample kind of underneath, washed out a little bit, and that piano just sort of cutting through. If the sample didn't cut through that sample, it would just change the vibe of the song completely. So that was very important. And with this whole section before the drums and the bass kicks in, I wanted the vocals to be very upfront and just in your face and not really any effects going on. There's one delay that you hear, but other than that, it's just clean, up in your face, and it's sort of just preparing you for what's about to come. And then when everything drops, there's beat cuts, there's delays, there's reverb throws, there's just everything going on. So when the beat drops, obviously it's just the sample, drums, and bass. So the sample is still very important. I felt that for this 8-bar section, before the rest of the guitars and all that came in, it was a little bit, not boring, it was just a bit like repetitive. So we went crazy with the cuts, cutting out the sample in certain bits, just cutting out the bass, cutting out the drums, doing not only just overall beat cuts to the whole instrumental, but taking out the drums in a section, taking out the instruments in a section. And it just always creates something interesting going on. Every 2 bars, there's something new happening. Something's falling in, something's dropping in, something's dropping out. Just makes everything a lot more exciting. And then you've also got all the vocals doing all these delays and stutters and all that sort of effects. It just really keeps it interesting. And especially with like the whole build up of the first quarter of the song, it's like you're just sort of keeping everyone engaged. It's like that they're listening. Okay, it's just the vocals and the instruments, and then when everything comes in, it's just chaos. So you can see here, I've cut the instruments or the sample, just a straight cut there, and then a couple stutters there, and then there's a full cut here, but certain instruments, certain drums are coming in earlier and all that sort of stuff. So this part's very choppy, and then it goes into like an underwater effect. And honestly, it was all just stuff done in the moment, and it all goes with Ruban's flow and how he's saying certain words, and you know, the rhythm that he's on, it goes well with the beat. So then, after all that mayhem is going on, it sort of mellows out a little bit with the guitars. So I did a bit of stuff to the guitars. We got this first one, which sounds like this without anything. It's nice. Used the EQ to just get rid of a bit of 200 hertz. Then we've got CLA guitars. And this is just giving it a little bit more presence, and also spreading it out a bit. And then we've just got another EQ, sort of just taking out a bit of the highs and just making it a bit darker. And then playing alongside of that, we've got this, which before everything sounds like this. So that's also why I've done this, because this second guitar is a lot higher in terms of the frequency spectrum. So I want it to sort of cut through in that, 5K and above area. I don't want it to clash too much with the other guitar. So literally just doing a low shelf on the high end on that first guitar just allows that second guitar to just cut through a little bit more. Then we did a few creative effects on this guitar flanger to make it wide and give it that flanger effect. And then we've got Murder Melodies, which is doing a bunch of stuff, but mainly chorus dimension sort of stuff, pushing it back a little bit further in the mix. And then we've got this guitar wah effect, which without anything sounds like this. I didn't like how it was sitting. It's very mono. There's really no movement, and it just kind of gets lost. So I pulled up an EQ, just got rid of a bit of harshness. Then we've got Effect Rack. And this is literally just on a preset, slightly washy. I don't know if I tweaked anything, but this is really changing the sound of it. Just giving it a bit of an echo, reverb, making it a bit wider as well. Bit of phasing stuff going on as well. It just makes it a little bit more exciting. And then we've got Spectre, which is just boosting more of that mid-range, which I took out originally, but it's boosting it with saturation. So now let's hear all the guitars together. And that's pretty much it.